Hi, today's meditation is a basic breathing meditation, and a focus on the breath during meditation can be helpful when you are feeling anxious to, to give you something to anchor yourself. And so it's helpful for us to practice it when we're not feeling anxious so that we begin to develop that ability to ground and center ourselves. Let's get started. And my meditation teacher likes us to start with movement because I think some people feel like meditation, you have to sit completely still and you have to have no thoughts in your mind. And if that is the goal, you are not going to succeed. So, what we do is just sort of notice what the body wants you to do. If your shoulders are tight or tense, you can kind of roll them and do stuff with your neck. You're listening to your body and responding. And you'll begin to move into whatever position you'd like to take for the meditation. And many of us are sitting. And so you can keep moving all you want. You don't have to stop. But I think it's helpful to have both feet on the floor because that gives you a little bit of balance. If you're crossing your legs, you're sort of over on one hip. And it helps you to sense the ground beneath your feet, which is a helpful thing. You can have sort of an upright posture, but not, arching your back overly rigid, not totally leaning against the back of the chair, which can induce sleep. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. But if you find that closing your eyes makes you anxious, or at any point in the meditation, if you feel like your thoughts are just racing, opening your eyes can help you to ground yourself by using that visual sense. So we begin to sit. We had that transition from whatever came before we began meditating to a time of meditation. And we may still have some thoughts swirling around in our heads. We may be sitting in the past to some extent and remembering things that have already happened, or we might be looking forward to what's happening later in the day, later in the week. Or our minds might be doing a little bit of judgment of what's happening. Might be judging yourself, wondering if you're doing it right. Or evaluating aspects of the practice. The tone and pace of my voice. How it feels to sit in a little bit of silence. And it's perfectly fine for our minds to operate. That's what they do. But we want to offer it a focus. And so we can allow those thoughts to continue to swirl and move and do what they need to do. But we sort of mentally shift them to the side or behind us so that we can focus on what's within us and in front of us. So you can use your physical senses to recognize and feel that your body is supported by the ground, by a chair or a bed. You can notice those points of contact between you and whatever is holding you up. feel that connection, that, that touch between the body and a surface. And then moving up into the top half of the body, we can begin to pay attention to the breathing that has already been happening. And of course, we can choose to manipulate the breath. We can extend it or hold it or breathe more deeply. But none of that is necessary to focus on the breath. There's no right or wrong way to breathe when you're focusing on breathing. We just allow the breath to happen naturally as it does. Right? We don't have any trouble breathing when we're not paying attention to it, unless we're sick or something. So we're just allowing the breath to continue, but we're noticing it, we're observing it. And if we bring in a sense of curiosity, it kind of opens things up. So using what we sometimes call beginner's mind, begin to observe the breath as if you had never experienced breath before, without any preconceived notions about what breath feels like or should feel like. Begin to notice all the nuances that might have escaped your attention before. You can notice the sensation of the breath itself, which requires movement of breath, right? You can't feel the breath unless it's actually in motion. So when you breathe in, you can feel the movement of breath in your nostrils. Maybe you can feel it kind of moving into the body. And when you exhale, you can choose to exhale through the nostrils or through the mouth. But either way, there's sensation. You can feel the breath leaving through the nostrils. Maybe you can feel the breath on your upper lip. Or if you open your mouth to breathe out, you can feel the breath moving against your lips. And you can even moisten your lips so that you feel the temperature of the air. After some time of paying attention to the sensation of breath entering and leaving the body, your mind may get a little bored with that and begin to wander. And when that happens, it's not a mistake or a problem. It is an opportunity for us to catch ourselves leaving the present moment or out of the present moment, to catch ourselves, and then gently bring the focus back to the breath, back to the present. And every time we meditate, this is what we do. The mind wanders, and we bring it back. This is why a guided meditation can be helpful, because every time the voice speaks, it's an opportunity to catch yourself. The longer the silence, the more likely our minds are to wander in that silence. And it can be a little harder to catch ourselves. In addition to the sensation of air moving in and out, you might notice the ways in which the body moves in response to the air. When we bring in air and we breathe in, our lungs expand, and therefore the chest expands. Maybe the abdomen expands a little bit too. And when we breathe out, all of that contracts back to a neutral position. Each in-breath involves a little bit of a stretch, an expansion of our core, maybe even a rising of the shoulders. And then when we breathe out, we release that stretch at the same time that we release the air. And so each breath becomes an opportunity to relax the body. So notice all the parts of your body that move in response to breathing. If you need to exaggerate the breath to begin to notice those areas, that's fine. Exaggerate for a little bit and then come back to normal and see if you can detect that motion. It's amazing that even in the stillness of meditation, there's micro movement. That even when we think we're being still, the breath brings movement into the body. Things aren't always as they appear. And it's difficult to look at something more deeply if we don't slow down, and be in the present moment so that we can fully experience it. Take it all in. As we move toward the end of this meditation, we can drop back down into the body to notice once again the places that the body is held up and supported, is in contact with something that isn't us. And yet they're connected to us. Our clothes, the air around us, and whatever we are being supported by. You can begin to wiggle fingers and toes and listen to the body again to move in whatever ways would satisfy what the body needs. If your eyes have been closed, you can allow them to open or lift your gaze. Begin to take in your visual surroundings. And take a moment to reflect before we go on to whatever activities and tasks are in front of us for the rest of the day. Thanks for joining me today. As always, I would invite you to share in the comments any experiences you had or reflections. Writing it out can help kind of cement it for you. So even if you don't leave me a comment, I hope that you'll make a note somewhere so that you can remember what you want to take away from this time. At the end, I'll put a link to another guided breathing meditation. So if you liked this one, you can try that one. Thanks and have a great day.